Dr. Anthony Fauci on defense after criticism of his consistently inconsistent messaging.
What they didn't seem to understand is that science is a dynamic process. So when you hear someone say something at one point, and then 2 or 3 months later, if you stick with what you said at the original time when you had 1/5 the amount of data that you have now, I think that would be inappropriate.
You know, it's also inappropriate. You never acknowledged that you were changing. You just would change. This after newly released emails show a key Wuhan researcher thanked him for downplaying the coronavirus lab leak theory. Joining us now to react, Fox News medical contributor and author of the forthcoming book, The Price We Pay, What Broke American Healthcare and How to Fix It, Dr. Marty Makary. Dr. Makary, I happen to know, off camera, on camera, you were frustrated before these emails come out. What did this expose to a medical expert like you?
Well, I think what we noticed in these emails, Brian, is that there's an absence of any real sense of urgency or sounding the alarm in February and even early March. And what you saw publicly was also what he was thinking privately, and that is that by early March, just days before the shutdown, his strongest warning was simply to tell old people not to take cruises. Hundreds of leaders in the United States were emailing him throughout February and early March, begging him to understand what should they be doing, how should they prepare, should they take this seriously. Absent was any real sounding the alarm, when many of us are around there saying, hey, a little help from Dr. Fauci would be appreciated right now as we're trying to prepare the country.
Which is kind of interesting, too, on this whole mask debate. Wherever you stand on it, we know he flip-flopped on it, and we also know that in Science magazine, that Chinese scientist who's a friend of his was critical, say, why are Americans not being told to mask up? And then he quickly wrote back and said to him, sorry, that reporter messed with my words. I would never say something like that. I think the big story is, should we have been masking up? And why did a Chinese researcher have to tell a magazine writer that?
Yeah, there's sort of this hyper-polite tiptoeing around each other's feelings around this issue of masking, where doctors in Asia were warning American doctors and warning Dr. Fauci clearly in these emails to please take masks seriously. Look, he should have known. This was his responsibility. SARS-CoV-2 spreads just like SARS-CoV-1 or SARS. They're airborne aerosolized virus. Clearly, those warnings were there. We didn't get those until late April.
You also say he's a bureaucrat. He's been doing this over 50 years. He knows what to put in the email. We see stuff that's concerning here. But imagine if he wasn't as skilled as being a bureaucrat as he is.
Dr. Fauci's been in government for 53 years, and one of the rules is anything you put in email is public information. He was clearly very careful. If the most scathing emails we have are from Peter Daszak to him, then we know Dr. Fauci is being very careful. I see the absence of Dr. Fauci sounding the alarm, sending warnings to leaders in American businesses in February and early March, and also the failure to recognize that they needed to pivot the $40 billion in taxpayer funding that goes to the NIH. They needed to pivot that quickly to COVID. That really was not done until later in the year.
Dr. Makary, is he the best we have?
Well, I think if you look at his track record, it's a disappointing track record. His primary responsibility is to warn us of a pandemic and then tell us how to manage it. Both those pieces of information were in a vacuum. We didn't get that guidance. And if you look at what happened in the Wuhan lab, he's been oddly quiet about the entire issue until very, very recently.
All right, Dr. Marty Makary, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.